7 men took their last drive on these roads. But the killer wasn't who anyone expected. This isn't another serial killer story. This is about the system that created a monster. And the victims who deserved better. By the end of this story, you'll understand why this case changed how we investigate serial killers forever. 7 strangers. 7 different lives. 7 final drives on Florida's deadliest highways. This is their story. And the story of how a broken system created the woman who killed them all. Richard Mallory, an electronics store owner in Clearwater. A man with a complicated past that included a criminal record. But still someone's son, someone's friend. David Spears, a construction worker navigating his own personal challenges. A man trying to make his way in the world. Walter Antonio, a trucker and former police reservist from Alabama. A man who dedicated years to serving his community. These weren't saints. They weren't perfect men. But they were human beings whose lives had value, regardless of their imperfections. And in 1989, Florida's highway system became the arteries that carried them toward a fate none of them could have imagined. These roads connected communities. They carried families. They carried people through their daily lives, some routine, some troubled. Until those journeys were violently cut short. But here's what nobody talks about. The warning signs everyone missed. Stay with me. Because what I'm about to reveal changes everything you think you know about this case. February 29, 1956. Rochester, Michigan. A leap-year baby named Aileen Carol Pittman enters a world, already failing her. Her mother Diane, barely more than a child herself at 15, couldn't cope. The father? Never in the picture. So Aileen and her brother went to live with their maternal grandparents. Lori and Britta Wuornos. They legally adopted the children. But this isn't a rescue story. Court records document the chaos. Alcohol problems. Domestic violence. Criminal behavior. Lori Wuornos, the man who became Aileen's father figure, had his own criminal history. And would eventually die in prison. The educational system couldn't reach her. Social services, stretched thin in the 1960s, missed the signs. One by one, the institutions meant to protect vulnerable children failed a girl who desperately needed help. And here's what's crucial. This isn't excuse-making. Countless people suffer similar trauma and never hurt anyone. But understanding how multiple institutional failures contributed to this tragedy isn't about excusing it. It's about preventing the next one. The breakthrough came from the last person anyone expected. This next revelation changes everything. November 30th, 1989. To November 19th, 1990. 13 months that terrorized Central Florida. And created one of the most intensive manhunts in state history. The pattern emerged slowly. Pawn shop receipts. A .22 caliber weapon. Male motorists found shot along Florida's highways. Their vehicles missing. But the real breakthrough came from a relationship. Tyria Moore, Aileen's girlfriend of 4 years. As evidence mounted, Moore faced an impossible choice. Loyalty to the woman she loved. Or cooperation with police pursuing a serial killer. January 1991. Moore makes her decision. Working with investigators, she elicits a confession from Wuornos in recorded phone calls. It's a story of relationships tested, loyalty shattered. And the moral complexity of seeking justice. January 9, 1991. Aileen Wuornos is arrested at a biker bar. The investigation that cracked the case wasn't just about ballistics and forensics. It was about understanding human nature, relationships, and the devastating power of betrayal. Here's where it gets really disturbing. The evidence revealed at the 15-minute mark. What happened in that courtroom, changed true crime forever. The prosecution's case seemed straightforward. Robbery-motivated murders, using a consistent weapon and method. But the defense presented something more complex. A woman with documented mental illness, severe childhood trauma, and a history of sexual victimization. Multiple defense experts diagnosed borderline personality disorder, evidence of traumatic brain injury, and in some evaluations, delusional disorder with persecutory features. But here's the legal reality. Understanding contributing factors doesn't negate criminal responsibility. The self-defense claim centered on Richard Mallory. Wuornos claimed he raped her. The defense revealed Mallory's criminal history, including a sexual assault conviction. But the court heard this evidence, and still didn't accept it as justification for his killing. And here's the crucial detail often omitted. Wuornos herself later admitted in interviews that most of the killings were not self-defense. Though she maintained her first killing of Mallory was 6 counts of first-degree murder, 6 death sentences. The legal system had spoken. But questions remained about justice, mental illness, and the death penalty. Her final words will haunt you. Stay with me. October 9, 2002. Florida State Prison. After years of appeals and legal proceedings, Aileen Wuornos faces execution. Her final words. "I'd just like to say I'm sailing with the Rock. And I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus June 6th. Like the movie, Big Mothership and all. I'll be back." But this story doesn't end with execution. The victims' families continued carrying their grief, seeking meaning in loss that can never be fully healed. Some found peace in the justice served. Others questioned whether the system that failed to prevent these tragedies learned anything from them. Did this case change anything? Some improvements in childhood trauma recognition, better coordination between social services. But the fundamental question remains. How do we identify and help those who might become dangerous, before they hurt others? The highways of Central Florida still carry travelers to their destinations. Most arrive safely. But for 7 families, these roads will forever represent the moment their loved ones' journeys ended. This final revelation will change how you see every true crime case. Conclusion. Understanding doesn't equal excusing. Justice served doesn't erase loss. And acknowledging systemic failures doesn't diminish individual responsibility. Aileen Wuornos was responsible for 7 murders. She was also a product of multiple system failures. Both things can be true. Both things matter, if we want to prevent future tragedies. The real lesson of this case isn't about one woman's descent into violence. It's about our collective responsibility to identify and address the conditions that create dangerous individuals, before they destroy lives. 7 men died on Florida's highways. Their lives mattered. Their stories mattered. And their deaths should teach us to do better. What aspect of this case impacted you most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this story eye-opening, make sure you hit subscribe. Because the next case we're uncovering is even darker. And you won't want to miss it.